Welcome to this event by EdTech Society. I am Sridhar Iyer, the current president of the society. And as we have seen in previous events, the EdTech Society brings a bunch of events for fostering meaningful use of technology in education. Some events are called masterclass, where we have experts come and give us a talk on their topic of expertise. Some events are called Infocus interview. And today we are having the second Infocus interview. And for this, our guest today is Dr. Deepti Reddy. And the interview's title is Unveiling the Journey of an Indian Computer Science Educator as an EdTech Research Specialist. So Deepti has been a PhD from Education Technology at IIT, and she currently serves as an associate professor at NMIMS University. She has a prolific research career, and her areas of expertise are education data mining, learning analytics, web programming, and so on. Beyond research, Deepti has also engaged with a lot of people in the community. So she has, for example, she is the current faculty chair of the IEEE Computer Science student chapter, and she has conducted numerous workshops for educators covering topics such as engineering design problem solving, computing research, technical writing, and doing research publications. So she has empowered over 300 undergraduate engineering students through such workshops on software design problem solving. So welcome Deepti to this event on Infocus interview.
Thank you, Professor Sridhar, for the invitation and EdTech Society for giving this platform for interacting. Thank you very much.
And now let me invite the person who is to be doing the interview. This is Indra. And Indra is currently a PhD student in education technology at IIT Bombay. So she is a few years behind in Deepti in terms of the career path. So Indra is also a college teacher, and Deepti had also done her PhD while having a full-time role as a college teacher, and Indra is currently in that role. So she is at BMS College of Engineering and in the Faculty of Information Science. So welcome Indra, and I invite you to take it away from here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for this opportunity. Good to go, Deepti?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you tell us about what inspired you to choose educational technology for research? Because you registered in 2014, and where most of the college teachers were not aware of this educational technology. So can you please tell us your inspiration?
Okay. So prior to joining PhD, I had started interacting with Professor Shashi Kumar from CDAC, and we were working on a project called Intelligent Tutoring System for Language Learning. So he used to always insist on picking up some real life problems which would benefit people, and your work will be useful for everyone. So that's one of the reasons that I picked, I started working in educational sector. As I'm also into it, I was teaching undergraduate engineering students, and there is a scope of innovation in this field, a lot of scope for innovation. And also, while I was interacting with Dr. Shashi Kumar, Dr. Rekha Ramesh was also doing PhD under him and under Dr. Sridhar Iyer from Educational Technology, IIT Bombay. So that is how I got to know more about this department, what kind of work they are doing. And I was assuming that even my work is also similar or aligned to the department work. And through Rekha Ramesh, I got to know one quality improvement program that the department was conducting, Sridhar Iyer and Sahana Murthy. And so I joined that program. It was a 1 week program. So I closely interacted with all of them, all the work, all the research scholars who were there, and that is how the interaction started, the association started, and I applied for PhD in 2014. So that was the main motivation behind.
Okay, can you shed light on what are the key advantages of college teachers pursuing this domain?
So advantages are one I already told, that we are into education and we know the real problems that are happening at when we are teaching students. The attention span is so less, the like students are at least motivated to to learn something. So all these problems we already know, like we are into the field, and we can easily identify some problems which will be more relevant and which will be useful for the society also. So that way, I think that for college teachers, this is one of the most relevant field if we can get into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree that teaching and learning perspective, we have good idea about that.
Yes.
Then what are the other aspects of research that we have to focus on?
Okay. So as you see, like prior to joining PhD, I was teaching. Like it was going on good, and without knowing about anything about the theories behind, we used to apply some of the concepts, but mostly it was a teacher-oriented teaching. So we were more focused on just giving knowledge and teaching them, and not focusing much on identifying like our students learning. This question we hardly asked. Or can we change the method of teaching? This also we were not aware. So we
Yes.
were teaching the way we were taught. That was the only way, because we didn't had any formal training in teaching to students. And by joining, after joining this department, even when I attended few of the programs that this department had organized, that is how I came to know that there is so much of theory behind the learning theories which we were not aware of, and there are so many techniques which we can adopt in the classroom and make our teaching even more interesting for students. And we can experiment with our teaching methods, and we can see whether the teaching methods, that the new techniques that we are adopting, whether they are beneficial or are they effective, by conducting experiments. So all these things we, like I got aware only after I joined this department, educational technology department.
Yes, yeah, I agree with you. During coursework, we came across so many theories. There are different active learning techniques.
Yes.
So yeah, one of the technique after my coursework, I'm using it in my teaching, like jigsaw learning and or cooperative learning. So we were using active learning strategies, but we were not able to structure it well, and what were the outcomes that we were expecting were at a gray area. Now it's like we are focused on what objective it is and which technique works for what type of concept. And yeah, we are more fine-tuned our teaching now.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
let's get into PhD now. As we college teachers are not within the department, we are working and we get very less scope of interacting with the full-time research scholars. So at your time, how did you cope up with the interaction with your peers?
Okay, so before I answer this question, let me give you the background of how I spent time in this department. So, first year during my coursework, I took 1 year leave from college, and after coursework for 2 3 years, I think I was regularly visiting department. Like every Friday, I used to visit department, and there used to be a Friday meetings that never used to miss. And I had regular interaction with peers and also with my guide. And later on, at the later stages of my research, like during my final 5th year, I again took 1 year leave. So most of the time, I would say I was in the department interacting with my peers and closely observing what is happening in the lab and what kind of work others are doing. So this observation was always there when I was like during my PhD time.
Okay.
So,
So
and also
interaction is essential. Sorry.
one more thing I would like to add, that I had taken up some responsibilities like admin responsibilities like Friday meeting coordinator, and for T4E, during T4E I was a co-program chair. So this also added like extra angle of like the interacting the informal interactions were more during this kind of responsibility, when you have this kind of responsibilities. So that
Yeah.
also improved my communication or my interaction with the department.
Yeah, this was working for you because you are in Mumbai. But
Yes.
college teachers like me, I am from Bangalore, and there are others outside in and around Mumbai. So how can you advise them how to be connected with the department? So most
Uh,
of the things are happening online. It's not that we are not
huh.
interacting with them. It's happening online. So how do you?
So at
advise
least,
us.
at least make a point that you visit twice in a month. You take out time, and when you are visiting, you are in the lab most of the time, and talking to people, most like understanding what problems they are doing or what challenges that they are facing. And even when I was a Friday meeting coordinator, I was like working in college. I joined back college, but still remotely we could communicate with others and identify the themes for Friday meeting, like what will be the agenda for the Friday meeting. So that also can help you. Remote work also you can do and interact with others, and you may also get involved in some of their projects, like some or other small projects everyone is doing in the lab.
Yes.
So get involved in what kind of projects they are doing, or find a similar peer group which is similar to your work, what which like others are also doing similar to what you are doing. Form a group and discuss your problems. So this is how I can suggest that you can go ahead, even if you are remote, if you are not in Mumbai.
Okay, okay. Can you share any instance where you were collaborating in research activities with your peers and that helped you in your PhD?
Yeah, sure. So I would say here I had like a very good advantage of collaboration, because when I started PhD at that time, Professor Sridhar and Professor Sana had just started this working group called TLOTS, Technology Enhanced Learning of Thinking Skills. And my work also was part of TLOTS. And with me, I think 5 to 6 other research scholars were also working in the same theme. So since it was like an inception, we were all together collaborating, brainstorming, how working on how what can could be the guidelines for this lots, and how our work is aligned with it. So there were a lot of Friday meetings which were focused on TLOTs. So we used to showcase our work and how it is aligned. And since we were all discussing and discussing our work, we were all knowing that what each of us are doing, or what kind of thinking skills the other person is doing, other research scholar is doing. So this on its own, this collaboration was happening.
Yeah.
So this helped me a lot. I should say that this is the only thing which helped me a lot in making my PhD go ahead, because I could see so many people working on the same thing. And there is one good thing about the department, that we don't shy away of with sharing our work. We are very open to what we are doing, and we discuss a lot. Like there is no, we are not afraid that we should not share, we should not talk. That kind of environment is not at all there. So that
Yeah.
helped me a lot.
Yeah, I agree. Like most of the peers, when I interact with them, I get to know that what tools they are using for data analysis and what type of data is required for a certain research study design. So all those things we get to know. When we are alone and we are trying to do literature on that, maybe we may be deviated with some other. Right. So once we discuss with peers, yeah, we they help us. Yeah.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, next we'll move on to the publications. So you have a good number of publications. For publishing research articles, you need more time to think and you have to give time to, for that as well. So how did you cope up with that?
So publications, anyway, when you're doing PhD, you have to publish. So that was already part of our PhD work. But most of the Friday meetings, I remember that Professor Sridhar and Professor Sana used to ask us who all are, like, this is our upcoming conference and who all are going to write for this conference. Like that time we used to make a group. Okay, we all will be writing together, and this will be our themes on which we'll be writing. And we used to discuss a lot on what we are going to write, and we used to present to each other, and again identify what all are the, like, we used to take feedback on our work, mostly during Friday meetings, I remember. And what the reviewer, why the reviewer will accept or why the reviewer will reject, was what we were discussing extensively during these meetings. So this, I think, when you're working in a group, you automatically get that motivation to write. You're not alone. So that
Right.
helps you a lot. So this is one thing that I think was motivation for me to write. And you go in a group to attend a conference. There also you have fun together. You are again having formal, informal discussions over there. So this is like a motivation and also a fun part associated with it when you're publishing.
Mhm. Yeah, if at all I'm not able to attend the meetings and all, so how do I motivate myself in publishing when I'm doing in my institute?
So same thing I would suggest you find a group with who all are writing to that conference, and you like discuss with each other what are you writing, or share whatever you have written with each other and take their feedback. And this will help you to find any lacunas if, and obviously we'll be interacting with our guide also. But before we go there, a formal or informal interaction with peers will give you one level of improvement is already made for your paper, and the chances of paper getting accepted also increases. So
True, true.
this can be one way of doing it.
Oh yeah, you find your group online also, take
Online.
peer feedback. Yeah, take. How frequently you used to meet your guide, Deepti? Like, and how important it is to meet the guide?
Right. So this is an important question, I'll say, and I used to like it depends on the stage of the work you are at. So in the initial years, like when you are just formulating your problem, you are doing literature survey, or when you are designing your system. So I would suggest that you should be at least in a week, or at the most in 2 weeks. Once you should meet, and maybe once your problem has been finalized, that the design is ready, then you it depends on based on the expectations of the guide. It depends, you can reduce the meetings also. But first 3 years you should be regular, you should be meeting once in a week at least. Because the
Right.
reason I tell you this is, you may think, okay, I'm doing my work, even though I'm not meeting my guide, I'm doing the work. So that way you may satisfy yourself. You are reading papers, you are designing your system, you're developing your system, or something other. But when you meet after a long time and show the progress to your guide, they may not be aligned with what your expectations are, what is your thinking, like what the guide is thinking. And if there is a mismatch, then like you have to redo all those things, which
Right,
is
right.
like a frustrating thing. And you will be frustrated, obviously, because your work is not accepted. So whatever small work that you do, get it
Yes.
validated with your guide, discuss with him or her, and then if it's okay, then go ahead. So that's what I suggest. It depends on the progress or the level at which you are. So first initial 3 years, please meet at least once in a week.
Okay, sure. Yeah, of course, because every small progress, if we discuss with them, maybe we get more insights on that and a better support from the profs, and we can progress
Main,
even
it
much
should be
better.
aligned with the expectations. That is more
Right,
important.
right, right.
Because
Right.
what we think may not be correct all the time.
Yes.
So that's very important.
Yeah, now I shall shift to time and stress management because we have to balance work, family, studies, all of this, right? So, how did you face any challenges in balancing all these three? If so, can you please share your experience?
Right. So when I started PhD, uh, I I took 1 year leave, as I told, from the college also. And when I joined back, I requested not to give any admin responsibilities to me. Like I was only focusing on the teaching learning part. Other admin related work I didn't take, and even the college supported me at that time. And later on, also, this is how I balanced my work. And at home, at family, so I took support of my in-laws and as well as my parents to take care of my kids. I kept maid for everything, for all the household work. So that way, much of the work at home also was delegated. And again, for PhD, as I already told that most of the time I was working, I was spending more time on PhD because that was important for those 5 years. So that is how I managed. Like I tried to balance by giving priority to PhD more, and all other things were uh, what do you say, were already taken care by somebody else.
Okay. So you say, suggest that we have to prioritize PhD. and
Yes.
take support from people,
Yes.
and not act as a superhuman, just being
Don't be a
human.
superhuman or anything that I'll do everything on my own and
Yeah,
excel
because
in
like
everything.
few people will have that, right? Like we have to manage this, that they don't tell us because he or she has joined for PhD, so they're asking us support. So let's
Hmm.
be open with the family members and friends and
Right.
colleagues and take their support. Right.
Right. And also, you should talk to your kids. Mostly, they won't understand what is PhD and why my mother or my father is away for most of the time. So,
Mm.
you need to discuss with them a lot. You need to talk to them a lot. When you are at home, give them 100% time so that they also don't feel neglected. So that
Right.
is, and with your parents, with your in-laws also, you discuss what problems you're facing and why are you doing all this. So
Right.
maybe talking and discussing helps you a lot. So they will also not have much expectations from you. They will also understand your situation, is what I think.
Yes. Yeah, the most important role is the parent role. So most of the times it has happened with me as well, like that
Hmm.
parent guilt. Child requires time, but I'm not giving time. Am I becoming selfish or not giving time to him? So yeah, at times I have felt that once I tell him openly, sir, this is the time I have to give to PhD, so you have to understand. So even he'll not be expecting me.
Right. So they
So
we need to make them understand is what is more important. And they understand. They are more intelligent than us, our kids.
true. And there are cases for most of them, they face uncertainties in life, setbacks. So,
Huh.
what do you advise for them to break through this?
So see, it depends again on you. When there is a setback and there is a demand for like your family, there's a problem in family and you have to give them time. So you have to prioritize. So you should focus more on wherever your attention is needed at that point of time. And eventually you should get back on track.
Right,
So
right,
don't spend too much time on one of the things so that other is too much neglected. So you need to always balance. Balance is the only mantra I will suggest here. And don't
true.
take any excuse ki, because of this problem I'm not able to give time for my PhD. That should not come anytime in your PhD time at least.
Right, right. Yeah, my next question was that only, like how much time should we give per week or per month such that we can complete in 5 years, though we are college teachers?
So as I already told ki you you need to be continuously working on it. Like I recall one conversation which I had with my guide, Professor Sridhar Iyer. We had gone for one of the conference and during lunch, he just asked me, ki, how much time do you give for your PhD? So I said, I have second, fourth Saturday off and I work on Saturdays and Sundays, weekends. So he said ki that's not how it works. You should be continuously working on it. If you study for like you give time this weekend, whole week you are not doing anything, and next weekend you again start doing some work, you have almost forgotten whatever you had done last week. So you're again back to the same point. So that is never like you are never going to progress or complete your PhD if this is how you're working. So that was like a trigger for me. This is correct, and I have to change myself. And that at that point of time, I started setting goals. Like for this week, this is the goal. For example, I have to read some papers, and I used to ensure that I'm giving time evenly throughout the week. And if I'm to design some system, the design, I will in college also I'll discuss with my colleagues. Okay, if this is to be done in this way, what do you think? I used to take feedback with my colleagues also at college because they were also one of the stakeholders who will be benefiting from our work. So that also if I can get back to that point of what are the benefits of college teacher doing EdTech PhD. So you have a whole set of stakeholders around you all the time, college teachers, your colleagues, your students. So you can keep on taking feedback at every crucial point of your research.
Mm.
Whether you will get to know whether this is going to work or it's not going to work. So that is one of the biggest advantage of college teachers is what I feel.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, for one of my study also, I had taken feedback from the one of my colleague who was handling the same course. And also,
Hmm.
I think for college teachers, getting participant is not a problem. right? If you have
That's
chosen UG students or whatever institute you are into, if your target participants are them, so getting participants won't be a problem at all.
right.
So that's one of the biggest
That's
advantage.
one more advantage.
Right, right. Yeah, there are a lot of emotional turbulence for few of the college teachers. Maybe work pressure, or it could be even household pressure, or maybe relationships ups and downs might happen. So, how can they come out of this and set their routine
Okay.
for PhD?
So again, I will suggest you have to, like, for everything. Maybe I'm putting more stress on prioritizing everything. But see, at one point of time, uh, at college, at my college, I was like, there was some NBA NAC accreditation going on, and I was made in charge of one of the criteria of NAC at college level. So you might understand what is like. There is a humongous amount of work that needs to go in when you're going for NAC, and you are a like criteria coordinator at college level. Then too much of data collection, analysis, and so much of work. So
Yes,
for almost 6 months, I was I was in college till late evenings working, getting back home late. I was not even going to lab. I was not meeting my guide. No progress at all for PhD. It went on almost for 6 months, I think. So there was this frustration building in me that, okay, I'm not doing anything about my PhD. So somewhere it started affecting my health also, because like somewhere in background, the constant frustration was there inside me. And my family noticed that, okay, my health is not good, and it's deteriorating. So they suggested that you talk to people, you talk to your guide, you talk to the college authorities, and come up with some solution. This is not going to work this way. Then that's once this work was over, college work, I talked to everyone, my guide, my colleagues, and my seniors from EdTech department, who were also college teachers. And I took this decision of taking 1 year leave. Though it was without pay, but I took it because at that time, giving time for my health and PhD was more important, because at workplace somebody else can replace you. At work, it's the work is not going to get affected if you are not there. There is always somebody else who will take up that work. But for PhD, it's only you who have to do it. Nobody else is going to do it on your behalf.
yes.
So that's why I took 1 year leave, and that's how I came back on track, and my health also was okay. And so this is how. So whenever there are some setbacks, you need to take control of that situation. You need to discuss with all your near dear ones, with your guide, and come up with some solution, so that again you're back on track and you're in control of your life the way
Right,
you
right.
want. Yeah.
Yeah, we should be open and we should take wise decisions, and sometimes compromises also, it's fine. Like you will
Right.
be get paid for 1 year, but still you are
Mhm.
going to have a productive time for your PhD. So
Right.
such that you will progress in that.
Right. So that is more important.
Right, right. And sometimes it's daunting for college teachers when we compare ourselves with full-time PhD scholars. The amount of work they have done and the time they contribute to PhD. So how can we come out of such situations?
Okay. So see, there are sometimes when we hear what all work they are doing in lab, so I accepted it. Okay, I'm lagging behind. I'm not up to what they are doing. So I just accept the situation. Accept that you are not up to their up to the work that they are doing. And see, one advantage here is that you know that what others are doing and what you are not doing. So you know that gap. This is what I have. I also have to do to reach there. So work at your own pace. If your peers have done in 1 week's time, okay, you do it in 1 month time. But
Mhm.
do it at your own pace without like running behind or forcing yourself into something where you cannot do anything. So just accept the fact that you are lagging behind, plan accordingly, and do it at your own pace is what I would suggest.
Okay. So accept the reality is what you're saying.
Accept the reality. Obviously, they are there in lab all the time. We are not there, so there will be some advantages, disadvantages to it.
Right,
So
right. Yeah, I have seen that you completed in 2019, and after that also you are publishing good amount of research articles. So how could you motivate yourself, Deepti?
Okay. So see, it's a human tendency that once you complete PhD, you will think, okay, I'm done with it. I'll be happy from like my happy moments have started. I'll be focusing on all other things, and all those things were also there for me when I completed PhD, and I was in a relaxed mode and everything. But I was not happy at all after completing PhD also. So there was, and I was not understanding what is it that making me unhappy. Why am I not happy? Like, why is it not the same as it used to be? So that time I realized that only teaching students is not going to give you satisfaction, because during your PhD, your thinking has evolved. You have used your intellectual to such extent that you want to use it after your PhD also, and not getting involved or not doing research was frustrating after PhD. So that motivated me. No, I have to do something. Like I have to continue my research, but where to start was next question. How do I start? Because now you don't have anyone behind you, like your guide. You don't have to meet your guide. Your guide is not going to ask you any questions. So there is no external motivation. So whatever it is, you have to be intrinsically motivated to continue. So, where to start was the next question which I had. And I think we all have some unpublished work during our PhD. Some of the work will be unpublished. So, I started with that point. Okay, one of the study I didn't write any paper for the final study which I did. So that's how I started writing paper for which was related to my PhD work itself. So I published in one of the journal, and it's still under publication. Like, but I started that. Like writing research is what I started is more important. And again, there is so much of data that you had collected during your PhD, which is not used because it was out of scope of your PhD. So, for example, in my case, the tool that I had developed, there was log data of almost 250 students, which I had conducted studies for. So that was also bothering me that so much data I have and I can do something out of it, and I can at least start my research for that log data analysis. So then I started searching for students who will do that implementation for me. So here also there are challenges that you have students with you who will be doing projects under you, but they won't be willing to work on your project, on your problem statement.
Yes,
So
yes.
first year I gave one like this problem statement to one of the group. They didn't agree. Okay, I didn't give up. In second year again I proposed the same problem statement to other set of students. Even they went away. They didn't agree. They did what they wanted to. I still I didn't give up. And third year again I proposed in a hopes that okay, this time I'll get some students. So finally one group agreed, and they did that log data analysis, and the implementation part was covered, like implemented by students, and the writing part, the research part, I completed, and that work got published in AIED, Artificial
Mm.
Intelligence in Education, which is a good conference, and which I was aiming for. That I want to write for this conference is what I was aiming for, and it got achieved. So that was like one of the biggest achievement I think after PhD, and
Mm.
that
Right,
kept me going in doing research.
right,
So
right. Yeah, that most of us have. Like most of the data we may not be using because it's not in the scope. That's a good one. And yeah, never give up nature of yours. Tend to
so
publish so
that
many
is
papers.
more important. And you
Right.
have tools developed for students, right? And
Yes.
even the tool which I had developed for my PhD, though it is not at a professional level, but now also I use it. I give it to students to use it, and I collect. Still I'm collecting data on my tool in a hope that okay, one day I'll do something with it. If the data is
Yes.
there, we will definitely work on it at one point of time. So
Yes.
that is also one way we can continue our research, because it's related to education. We are into education.
Yes. Completely agree. And what other opportunities do college teachers get after their PhD?
Okay, so one thing is like obviously you get promotions because you have completed PhD, and that is one opportunity. And I think that this is, you make students, like identify students who can work with you, and that will make you continue your research, because implementing and the implementation part we may not be able to do because we don't have that much time. So identify students who will, like, motivate them and get the work done. And if you're in a group, and one more thing that I'd suggest ki, you could also identify, like collaborate with teachers in some other colleges also. So that also works a lot, because if you have a group, you can continue your research. You have motivation to continue your research. So collaborating with other teachers also can be an opportunity for you to continue with research.
Right. Yeah, in most of the conference when we go, we tend to meet other college teachers
Mhm.
who are across other universities also.
Right.
Yeah, that's when once we build that collaborative or some community if we build also, that will
Uh-huh.
give us big
Ah,
opportunities.
right. Community building is one of the opportunity which we can have after
Yes,
PhD.
right. Yeah, and what are the ways in which doing PhD can be useful for city?
Okay, ways in which doing PhD.
Yes.
So doing PhD, as I told you, you are in the field. So that is one of the biggest advantage, that you
Mm,
get to engage with students, you get to research with them. So that is one of the biggest advantage,
mm,
that you're doing PhD as college teacher in EdTech department.
right.
So that is how I think is. Any other thing I may not remember now. Uh, you get to work on real life problems. So that is one of the advantage of a college teacher doing EdTech PhD.
Okay, now we'll move on to audience question. Okay, so this question is from Saurabh Mehta. So, how to get research opportunities in EP?
Okay. So I would suggest start interacting with ET department. There are so many workshops going on, so many quality improvement programs going on. So that is how you get to interact with what kind of work is going on in the department. Or when you get a chance, visit the department and understand what kind of work the department is doing.
Mhm.
And talk to research scholars is one way of getting research opportunities in ET.
Okay. Next question is from Lakshmi Ganesh. What do you think that college teachers have as an advantage as compared to full-time PhD scholars?
I think I could answer this question many
Yes,
a
yes.
times during the interview also. See, full-time PhD, they are like in a utopia world. They are in the lab, everything is perfect for them, and they don't know the actual problems that happen at college level or with
Yes.
students or with teachers. So that reality check, we can give it to them. So when they talk to us, the full-time research scholars, they propose some system, and they design some studies where students, they assume that students will interact with the system and everything will be fine, and they'll get good results. But many a times we have seen that after students have interacted with our tool for almost 3 years, and then we give them some post test immediately, they are already tired. The students are already tired. They don't have that much cognitive thinking to do for post test. So the results obviously won't be seen. So I suggest, like, the advantage that we college teachers have is we know the students very well, how much attention span they might have, and we accordingly design our interventions for them. So that is one biggest advantage of college teachers. And obviously we have students with us all the time. So anytime we can take feedback from them on whether the solution is going to work or not work.
Yeah. Yeah, next we can take Suja Jaychandran's question. So, can you suggest journals in which we can submit papers related to EdTech?
Okay. So journals is like TOC, transactions of computing education, computers in education, then transaction on learning technologies. I think it's of IEEE. These are some Q1 journals which I'm suggesting. And again, Journal of Engineering Education. These are also very good journals in which we can publish. So, and RPTEL, Research Practice in Technology Enhanced Learning, is also one of the good journal. So what I suggest is before you identify a journal, you just read some papers that the kind of work that they publish. So you'll get an idea whether your work is aligned or how to align your work with the journal. And accordingly, you start planning to write for a journal. So this might help in publishing in a good journal.
Okay. Yeah, next question is, I'm a college teacher and I want to identify a research problem from my teaching. It can be from classroom or lab problem, or it could be even online teaching. Can you suggest some steps on how to do it?
Okay. So you want to identify a research problem based on whatever you're teaching in classroom or in lab. Okay. So see, I was teaching data structures. When I started doing PhD, data structures and algorithm was the subject which I was teaching. So uh, because I understood that students, there was a learning objective that identify a data structure based on some real-time problem that is given to them, or choose appropriate data structure for a given problem. So I knew that students have difficulty in identifying some solution when the problem is like open-ended, or they are not able to solve open-ended problems, is what I understood from so many years of teaching. And this there was a scope of giving open-ended problems in data structures and algorithm, because I was also teaching the same subject. So that's how my research started. So my research problem was to train students in solving open-ended problems in data structures course. And that similar approach, even you can adapt whatever subject you are teaching. Try to identify what kind of problems there, like, is there any scope of innovation in your subject or related to the skills which students have, to currently what kind of skills they have. For example, students are not good at teamwork, so you can take that problem also, see how to uh, enhance their team working, like teamwork skills or collaboration skills, by giving them your problem or some open-ended problem. This can also be one of the problem statement for research.
Okay, okay. So you will have to investigate.
Yeah,
So where they
invest.
fit into how they respond to the questions, and based on that, we can identify.
uh,
Again, that could be topic specific or subject specific as well, right?
right.
So, yeah. Okay.
So identify a course where you have a good hold on, and
Ah,
that will help you a lot. And also you
right.
have enough teaching experience for that particular subject. So
Yes,
that
yes.
also will give you the advantage of identifying the actual problem. And take
Right.
feedback from students. Ki,
Mhm.
okay, if this is given, what do you think? Should, like, you
Hmm.
can interact with them obviously.
Right, right. Yeah, in this way, I may get to know their misconceptions, or
Hmm.
maybe due to that misconceptions, they are making these mistakes.
Right. So
You know,
misconception is also one of the biggest area, which was like a like a research area a
so,
decade ago, I think. Now I don't know how much work is going on.
okay. Yeah, next question is on behalf of college teachers who are doing PhD in their own discipline, not from ET.
Okay.
So, is there any advice you can give them, Deepti?
Okay. It's about, if I'm understanding the question correctly,
Hmm.
how other college teachers are getting trained in CS education research is what is the question.
No, they are doing PhD in their own disciplines. They are not from
Okay.
ET, non-ET scholars, but even
Okay.
they are
How
doing
to,
part-time PhD. So,
okay.
for them, do you have any advice?
Okay. So for other research, like other domain research, I think same thing is applicable for them also. If they're college
Mhm.
teachers, then they have to balance the work and the family and the PhD work. So there are certain compromises which they have to do. They have to prioritize and all this, like they have to set goals and keep track that their goals are being met and regularly meet the guide. meeting guide is the most important thing that you should be having. And talk to the community, attend conferences, talk to the community, take advice from experts. And that also helped me a lot. We used to go to conferences, and I remember that Professor Sridhar and Sahana used to ask us to meet some experts in whatever work you are doing. Go and talk to the experts, take their feedback, and accordingly you can change the work that you are doing, align your work with according to their feedback. So that is one of the best thing for going ahead in your PhD.
Diti, are you training any teachers in CS education?
Yes, so myself, Prajesh, and Lakshmi, we three had trained for computing education research, mostly for college teachers and other researchers also who are doing
Okay.
PhD or who are planning to do PhD.
Hmm.
And so this is also like even those who are planning to do PhD in EdTech or similar fields can attend these workshops, is what I would say.
Okay.
So we are again starting a workshop series in from March.
March.
So it
Okay.
will help them to write papers and at least publish in conferences like Compute and T4E, which are conducted in India by by our department only.
Hmm.
So so that is also a good starting point to start PhD or to think about doing PhD in EdTech.
One, I think we can take one more question. Shrunika Kanan. If you could go back in time, what advice would you give yourself regarding joining academia and research?
Okay, what advice would you give? Okay, so see, yeah, academia. I never regret that I've joined academia. I joined some 20 years back. I started this career in academics, and research is one of the interesting thing that happens in academia. Is what I
Hmm.
suggest. Otherwise, teaching, learning is so monotonous that at one point of time you get bored of it, and
Hmm.
there is nothing much you can do. You are always teaching the same thing. Only the students are interesting sometimes. So set of students change. So you can apply some new techniques. So that is the thing that is there for teaching learning. But when you're doing research is where you are actually contributing back, or you're thinking at an intellectual level, and that is the most important or interesting part of academics is what I think.
Hmm. Yeah, you already mentioned this, but I'm again asking that you had interacted about your research with your colleagues. So, is there any instance that their response gave you or paved a way in a better outcome of your research, or how important it was?
So many a times it used to happen that our research directions used to change based on the interactions that used to happen with our colleagues. So I would say that I was working in data structures, like developing some system for open-ended problem in data structures. And I remember that two of my colleagues, like Prajesh and Lakshmi, were doing in software design. So I used to interact a lot with them. That how are they going about it? And I started referring the papers that they were also referring. So some to some extent it changed. I sort of deviated from data structures to software design. So there is always some influence of what others are doing on your
Yes,
work,
yes.
but we should be very careful that it should not be too much of influence. You should stick to your work.
Right. Again, take your feedback from your guide or discuss with them
Huh.
and then start going. So that will help us, right? So I think, yeah, we can wrap up now. Thank you, Dipti, for your thoughtful responses, and it was very informative. And most of our college teachers are now motivated, and we have to get up now. Says that we are consistent, self motivated, and we should take wise decisions and prioritize. Thank you for being a
Thank you
part of
very much. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Deepti, and thank you, Indra, for a very engaging conversation. So, if I may, let me ask one question. So, Deepti, you have done wonderful work and you are continuing to do wonderful work. So, my question is, what motivates you to keep going? Keep
So,
doing these teacher training workshops and keep writing papers and continuing research with your students. What is the motivation for that?
so after doing PhD, there was a void in my life, I think. Like not doing anything and just teaching is not satisfying me anymore. Like I was not the same person which I was before I started PhD. So I was like, there is something which I have to continue with the research. Otherwise, I'll go mad, is what was always going behind. Like the thought process was always going in background. So that is how I pushed myself that I have to interact with peers. Like Lakshmi and Prajesh is like, we were all working on software design. So wherever I got a chance, I asked them, okay, if you're doing workshops, I'm also in it. Please consider me also, so that I can also continue. So whenever there is a group working, whenever you're working in a group of similar people, having similar thinking things, then it's always a motivation for you. So that is one reason.
Great, great. So that brings us to the end of this episode. I hope everybody's had a good time listening in, and a lot of audience interaction has also happened. What I would like to do also is to just put a small plug for the next event that's coming up, which is the masterclass on designing, developing, and deploying online courses on an international scale. So this is on March 9th, and I look forward to seeing all of you there. So thank you everybody for joining this episode of In Focus interview of Dr. Deepti Reddy by Indra.